Good morning, everybody. Let's get right to what this is really about. It's about a crisis. Bermuda is currently in a crisis when it comes to road safety. We've had 15 fatalities on our roads. That is one death at least a month. It is distressing. It is distressing for our public. It is clearly distressing for families who have lost someone, and it is a serious situation. And we have a simple message for old drivers, especially our young male drivers. Slow down. Slow down. Slow down. Our roads have no room for error. Stop making other drivers react to your speeding and behavior. Many don't have the responsiveness that you have when you're riding on the streets. Most importantly, our people need to stop driving while impaired by substances. That is perhaps one of the chief sources of why people are dying. The number one external cause of death in Bermuda, i.e. death that is not from illness or disease, is transportation accidents at 34.8%. This is higher than the second leading cause, homicide, and the third leading cause, falls. In Bermuda, transport accident rates among males are nearly 3 times that of the OECD average. 3 times. In 2015, motorcycles were involved in 90% of deaths due to transport accidents. I think that figure says it all, everyone. 90%. In fact, 2015, Bermuda had the worst rate of injury in road traffic collisions of all the 35 OECD countries. Think about that. They say we're the most expensive place in the world. We seem to be the most reckless country in the world when it comes to our roads. People need to really think about that. And people are dying because of it. We have some ways that we believe people can start to deal with this situation. It's about saving lives, folks. It's not about stopping people from having enjoyment. It's not about not making sure your holiday time or your private time is worthwhile. It's about saving lives. We're asking people to plan ahead, specifically during this time of the year. We know what December means to Bermuda, and it's important that as you plan your parties and your enjoyment, that you plan ahead. Appoint a designated driver, take public transport, use a taxi. If need be, carry a blanket and a pillow and stay over that person's house that you are hanging out at. Do whatever you can to be safe, and that you keep others safe on our roads. Don't ruin your family's holiday by becoming a fatality, or somebody else's family, or putting our hospital team in stress because of the horror and the pain and the suffering that accidents bring for them to have to treat. And unfortunately, having to inform a family of a loss. The Ministry of Transport and Regulatory Affairs supports the Bermuda Police Service, CADA, the Road Safety Council, in this very important effort to just frankly save the lives of people who live in Bermuda. In closing, just a reminder for people to use public transportation, find a designated driver, stay over. If you need a taxi, order it beforehand and make arrangements for your taking you to your destination or picking you up from your party destination. That's one way to ensure that you have a taxi. If you're concerned about getting a taxi late at night, make arrangements. I'm sure our taxi operators would appreciate the business because not only they are benefiting financially, but they're helping to save lives. Let's just use some common sense, everybody. It is clear we have a crisis. Let's change our behavior and make steps to keep Bermuda safe over this very important season. Thank you.
At this time, you have Chief Inspector Cardwell.
Good morning, everybody. Not another one. In light of the 14 road traffic fatalities that we've already had this year, that's probably not a message anybody wants to hear from the head of roads policing. Unfortunately, with the trends that we're seeing on the roads, the current crisis that we're in, this is not a matter of if this will happen, but when it will happen and who it will happen to. Statistically, over the Christmas season, we will lose another life on the roads. Whilst not intended to sound morbid, the reality is, could this be you? Could this be your loved one? Who will be the family that the police will have to track down to advise that your loved one has died in a road traffic collision? As we reported already, in the period between Friday and Monday last, there were 21 collisions. This saw people severely injured and hospitalized in the intensive care unit. In the 2 weekends prior to this, there were 7 collisions over each of those weekends. In light of the collisions we saw last weekend, in comparison to the weekends before, it is apparent that the Christmas season is heating up already. Office parties and other social events have already started. The Bermuda Police Service Roads Policing Unit has increased road safety messaging on our Twitter account. To date, we have over 600 followers. We are communicating out by posting our road safety messages, statistics, and CCTV clips of collisions on our roads. Followers are invited to join the roads policing on a Twitter for a virtual ride-along. In addition to maintaining our role of increasing awareness, we also recognize that we have an enforcement role. That said, the Bermuda Police Service will be realigning resources to ensure that we have a robust preventative policing presence on our roads. We will focus our energy on the most at-risk behaviors on our roads that threaten life. This includes dangerous driving and riding and impaired driving and riding. To Bermuda, Bermudians, visitors, and our guest workers, do not become a statistic. Slow down, do not drink and drive, and do not allow anyone else that you are with to drink and drive. Take their keys. It's worth it. Everyone will be missed by someone.
Thank you, Chief. At this time, we will invite Ms. Ali Barjett, Bermuda Road Safety Council Chairwoman.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Inspector Cardwell. Good morning, everybody. I would like to talk about the pain of losing a loved one to a collision on our roads. This is indescribable, and I speak from experience. The pain never leaves you. And there aren't many families in Bermuda who can say that their lives haven't been affected in some way by a road traffic collision or fatality. The aftermath for families and friends is lifelong. You never get over it. That pain is with you every single day. The police can't be everywhere. The government is not to blame for you making a decision to speed or drink and drive, making the nip, doing a wheelie when you're going around a blind bend. That's not the government's responsibility, or the police, for that matter. It's your responsibility, and take some responsibility for your own actions. Be cognizant of other road users. It's really disconcerting to be driving along and have somebody pass you doing 80, 90, 100 kilometers an hour and whiz in front of you, and you have to slam your brakes on. That's no joke. Go to the track if you want to do things like that. We have a track at Southside. You can go up there and speed to your heart's content. You can have the right training as well. Roadside sobriety testing that the government has spoken of recently will change cultures and attitudes. It's been tried and tested in other jurisdictions. We cannot afford to lose anyone else in 2017. We're already at 14 lives lost through a crash on our roads. The countless life-changing injuries that go hand in hand with every one fatality, we have an average of 225 injuries. We have 5 people every day going into King Edward Hospital for treatment following a collision. The cost to Bermuda is immense, and it's out of proportion to our size and scale and our ability as an educated country. When you get on that bike or behind the wheel of a car, tell yourself, not one more, and I'm not going to be the next one. Thank you.
Very important words. Well done, Ms. Barjett. At this time, we're going to bring in Mr. Noah Brady Soares. He's a junior Road Safety Council chairman. Mr. Soares?
Good morning. My name is Noah Brady Soares. I am the junior chairman of the Bermuda Road Safety Council. I'm here today to speak to my peers in regards to making smart decisions while we are out riding on the roads. I understand that we all may think we are top riders and that nothing is going to happen while we are on the roads, but one never knows. Nonetheless, I would like to emphasize that when you get on your bike and you're wide open down the road, just remember that if you get hurt, you are also hurting your family, as well as somebody else, possibly. Nobody likes to get a phone call saying their loved one has been involved in a collision. I understand that we may think rules are stupid. However, they are implemented for our benefit and safety. We have all been there when a friend needs a ride home and it's just down the road. But on the way, if something happens and you are involved in a collision or pulled over, how will you feel? While you feel that you might be helping, you are breaking the law, and however innocent that act might be, the law is the law, and we must abide by it. So as we go into this holiday season, we must be mindful that while we will be at parties with family and friends, we also need to remember to make smart choices. And if need be, call our parents or a trusted friend for that ride, and not suffer any consequences later. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Noah Brady Soares, for that very powerful charge to his peers representing the Junior Road Safety Council as well as the school Mount St. Agnes. At this time, our anchor will be Mr. Anthony Santucci. He's the Executive Director of CARTA, that is a Center Against Drug and Alcohol Abuse.
Good morning, everyone. As the Executive Director of CARTA, I am pleased to be here today to support the Bermuda Road Safety Council, the Ministry of Transportation, and the Bermuda Police Service. It's a holiday season. We know Christmas is a joyous time. We know New Year's is coming, and we want everyone to have a good time. However, let me provide a few additional salient statistics. Since 2008, there have been 117 road fatalities on Bermuda's roads. For every fatality, as Ali already stated, there are roughly 200 people admitted to the King Edward Memorial Hospital. What that represents is that since 2008, there have been in excess of 23,000 individuals going to the hospital as a result of road crashes. Bermuda road crashes and fatalities are truly an epidemic in this country and must be addressed. CARTA, the Bermuda Road Safety Council, and a Piece of the Rock last year came together and produced a documentary, as I'm sure we've all seen it, but if you haven't seen it, before the holiday season begins, we encourage you to go and watch it online. It is at www.kingedwardmemorial.org. www.vimeo.com/apotr/documentary. Tips. Also, since 2008, CATA has trained over 2,400 tip servers and bartenders. We encourage them to practice the skills that you've learned during this training session. Remember the 4 behavior cues. Remember the 6 intoxication rate factors, and please remember it is against the law to serve somebody that is visibly intoxicated. During this festive season, CATA's Let Us Drive program will be available on December 9th, 16th, 23rd, and 30th. To date, this program has taken home in excess of 16,956 individuals. That is 16,956 individuals that have been taken home safely since July of 2008. And this is in no small part due to the generosity of our sponsors, Bacardi, Boris Lightburn, Goslings Limited, and the Corporation of Hamilton. In July of 2008, CATA called for the establishment of an Alcohol Bureau of Control, sobriety checkpoints, a revision of the BAC levels, social hosting legislation, and here we are, almost a decade later, 117 fatalities, 23,000 crashes. Is it not time that we act? We encourage everyone to exercise caution as they travel the roads, and before you go out, make sure you have a plan to get home safely. Always bus, cab, and designated driver. On behalf of the board and staff and as volunteers of CATA, we wish everyone a safe and happy Christmas and New Year's. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Santucci. At this time, we're going to open up the floor for the media for questions. What I need you to do, because we are live, is identify who you are, the organization that you represent, and who you're fielding your question to. At this time.
A question for the Minister. My name is Sarah Lagan from the Royal Gazette. You mentioned roadside sobriety testing, and obviously another big risk factor in Bermuda is speeding, and you've spoken briefly about speed cameras in Bermuda. Is there any progress on introducing speed cameras?
I'll speak to the roadside sobriety testing in particular. The Minister of National Security and I, the Honorable Wayne Keynes, and myself are working on that as a priority. We made a commitment to have that in place during this legislative year, and that's what we're working to do.
One more question, if that's okay. Has there been any consideration to a graduated licensing program eventually to be introduced into Bermuda?
That is also something that we are discussing with the Road Safety Council. They've done enormous work on that particular project, and we will discuss that in the upcoming year.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
TNM, travel into TNM. Sir, you spoke of your Twitter account, social media campaign. And we do know that, I know that there's a campaign warnings targeting traffic in Paget and the East End. But it doesn't seem that you're making great progress. And most of these deaths are happening between 9 in the night and 3 in the morning. What are you going to do to target this times when most of these individuals are dying on our roads?
Well, like I said, we are realigning our resources across the whole police service to make sure that we have an increased visibility and an increased presence, particularly during those times, nighttime. We also have the antisocial behavior issues to deal with as well that are prevalent during the same periods. So we're using our Twitter account, which is available to anybody at BPS_RPU. The idea behind that is that we are getting out there in the community and letting you know, one, that we are here, and this is what we are doing, and here's the results of what we have done. And the feedback on that so far has been tremendously positive. One of the complaints that I used to get a lot of is, where are the bikes? We never see you. And that was really frustrating because I know that I'm setting them out on the road every day. Just because you don't see them doesn't mean they're not there. But now with the Twitter account, I can tell you exactly where they are and what they're doing and what they've done.
Good morning, Seal Wilson, Bermuda Real. I guess I will address my question to the minister. much the Road Safety Council because they've changed heads over the years. My question is, knowing that Bermudians love to drink and brag about it, that, when I'm intoxicated, my vehicle goes on remote control. Legislating behavior is a difficult task on a good day. But what do you say to the fact that over the years we've had these little nice glitzy awareness campaigns that have made virtually no headway because the numbers continue to go up and the attitudes have gotten worse? So as minister, moving forward, we have proposals for roadside sobriety testing, but how do you plan to take on the task of changing the mindset?
Very good question, and thank you. One of the things we're looking at is beginning driver's education earlier. Everybody knows that pretty much most locals, if you're from overseas, you kind of learn how to ride on the slide. We do have a program, Project Ride, but that starts at 16, 15. We want to start it earlier. We're working on, with our partners in education and with our partners who are concerned about the areas to starting driver's education in primary school. That's one of the next steps we'd like to do. So a way of infusing better behavior early on. This has worked in other jurisdictions. We're going to try and see if we can start it here.
So what does that say to the older people and determine you can't teach an old dog new tricks, because a lot of these fatalities are involving men in their 40s, 50s, and so forth, who have been driving for years?
Well, you've outlined that we have a job to do, to try and work on them as well. But we're trying to also save the future here. We will work on the present, but we believe that we can save the future. We don't want numbers like this happening anymore. So our job will be to aggressively, and I'm going to work on giving the Road Safety Council more resources to devise further ways. They have come up with some very interesting ideas. I've tasked them with being more assertive in their efforts to build a campaign, and frankly, Bermudians should be prepared to be uncomfortable with what they're going to start seeing out in the media and on social media about road safety. I think we have treated this issue as a country a little bit too passively and a little bit too nice. It's going to stop getting a little, I'm not going to say ugly, but it's start going to look uncomfortable with what you're beginning to see, because we've got to change each person's behavior on the road. It starts with us, and we're working as a team, everybody here, and we're hoping to draft in the rest of the country to deal with changing behavior. Because it's not about just the law, it's about behavior. Because we could change laws tomorrow. I can go up the house, me and my colleagues and everybody else, and change the law on Friday. But Saturday we have a death. That means somebody's behavior just hasn't been right. So we all have to change behavior. That's going to be the focus.
Any other questions?
I just have one more for Officer Cardwell. It's been mentioned about the stress and, the impact on the emergency services personnel, picking up people in pieces.
Yes.
But can you speak perhaps just to how these EMTs are coping, because it's not getting any better. And when you get that 911 call, you don't know what you're responding to. But I'm certain you don't leave it at the scene.
Yeah, our EMTs at both the fire service, at the hospital, and the police officers that attend these scenes, they have resources available to them internally to deal with the grief that they encounter and the sights that they see. But just to go backwards on your previous question on the issue that's going on the roads, in our analysis that we did in the police service of what we have done in the past, what has worked, what hasn't worked, what we came up with is that we can't ticket our way out of this problem. Some people think just issue more tickets. Well, that doesn't fix the problem. We issue thousands of tickets a year, and it doesn't put a dent on the number of road collisions. You're not going to be able to legislate your way out of the problem either. What we have is an issue, it's a cultural issue. We have a bad driving culture, we have a bad attitude to driving that's set in and it's ingrained in our community. Changing a culture takes a very, very long time. So with everybody here, our partners in the Road Safety Council, our partners in CADA, our ministerial leads, our partners in the media, we have to be relentless in what does work, and that is raising awareness, keeping it on in everybody's mind that what you're about to do is very dangerous, not only to yourself, but you could kill someone else. So it's about taking that 10 seconds. Driving and riding becomes so routine, you put the key in the ignition, off you go. You actually don't take that 10 seconds to clear your head and focus on what you're about to do. And that's what we're trying to encourage people to do, is just take that 10 seconds. I put the key in the ignition. Before I move off, let me just make sure that nothing else is distracting me and I'm concentrating on what I'm about to do.
One criticism has been we have a few fatalities, we have a nice press conference, you see police all over the place for 5 minutes, then we don't see you.
Yeah. No, I'm not sure that's totally true because we try to be consistent. One thing we're trying to do right now, as of today, is to make sure that we don't have that knee-jerk reaction to the next fatality. And like I said, it's not if it's going to happen, it's a case of when is it going to happen and who is it going to be. Because that is the problem that we have. That's the reality of what's going on. We're pretty consistent in policing. Our numbers remain the same. We say the same thing all the time. You have a fatality, the next day you know who they are, the day after that it's old news. That's just the way it is. We have people that are injured, seriously injured on our roads, paralyzed. You never know who they are. You never know that that's what their injuries were. So we're trying to change that by letting people know this is happening. This is happening every day.
Next question, what is the common factor in all these road fatalities?
In the road fatalities, all of our collisions have the same 3 causes, either altogether or individually. Speed, alcohol, or inattention. It's one of those factors on every single collision that we do. The other thing that we find in all the collision investigations is they were all avoidable. Certainly in the CCTV that we're releasing, that's one of our messages. Look at how fast this accident happened, and look at how avoidable it was.